Succubus is a game that garnered significant attention upon its release, primarily due to its provocative and controversial themes. Developed by Mad Might Studio, the same team behind the similarly controversial game Agony, Succubus aims to deliver an experience that combines elements of horror, action, and dark fantasy. However, the game falls short in several critical aspects, making it a less than satisfactory gaming experience. Firstly, it doesn't really support Ultrawide properly at all. If you want to play in Ultrawide, 21:9 is as far as you can go, considering that you can push that slider for the field of view only so far. If you try to play 32:9, you're gonna have a bad time. I was unable to find any kind of fix on the internet, so I had to play the game in a smaller screen size in order to be able to play it at all. 32:9 just wasn't possible. One of the defining characteristics of Succubus is its relentless pursuit of shock value. The game dives headfirst into explicit and vulgar content, making it a challenge to discern any meaningful storytelling or gameplay amidst the chaos. While mature themes can be effective when used in moderation to enhance a narrative or create a certain atmosphere, Succubus overindulges, resulting in a tasteless experience that can alienate many players. Instead of adding depth, this excess often detracts from the overall experience. The graphic and explicit nature of the content constantly finds itself overshadowing any potential artistic merit, making it a divisive aspect of the game. Personally, I have no problem with excessive gore and vulgar sexual displays, especially in a game which is supposed to take place in hell. In fact, the more inappropriate, the better, and I respect Mad Might Studios for boldly going for it. At the same time, I know for a fact that this will definitely scare away many players. I have two good friends who are one in their 40s and the other in his 50s, and who both play games passionately. Whenever I wanted to show them some of the more explicit sexual stuff on Succubus, they would watch with interest, but as soon as the excessive violence came up, they would literally look away. While this footage is censored for YouTube, you can rest assured that the game allows you to uncensor everything. There are even minigames which involve you finding helpless sinners and torturing them in order to recover your health. Some of those tortures are extreme, as it should be when you play a demonic creature which takes pleasure in causing horrible suffering. But again, a bold move which will scare some people away. You can of course disable those minigames entirely and will simply find health pickups instead, but I'd argue that this castrates the game. Truth be told, the people who would choose to censor the game and disable the torture minigames are people who in my opinion probably shouldn't play this game at all, because it simply isn't for them. I mean, you can't really blur out the dicks and vaginas and pretend that the 2, 3 or sometimes up to 10 characters on screen are just hugging really intensely. Succubus had the potential for an intriguing and unique narrative. The central concept of Succubus seeking revenge in a demonic underworld was like a promise filled with dark fantasy and hidden mysteries. Regrettably, the game falls short of delivering on this potential. The narrative is shallow and the characters lack depth and development. As a result, it was impossible for me to become emotionally invested in this game's world. The storytelling often serves as a vehicle for explicit content rather than a compelling plot, and this is where I really missed the option to play as a male character. As a heterosexual man, it's not exactly appealing to play as a succubus who will occasionally get fucked like there's no tomorrow. On the other hand, I want to praise the fact that you can customize your succubus in many ways. Hair, horns, skin, body shape, etc. You can even pick outfits for her and change her voice. While Succubus attempts to offer an action-packed experience with combat mechanics, it is plagued by a variety of gameplay issues. Control responsiveness is often clunky, character animations appear awkward and unrefined, and overall gameplay just feels unpolished. These problems undermine the gameplay experience, making it frustrating to engage with the game. The potential for enjoyable combat encounters is hindered by these technical shortcomings. In addition to all of that, it falls into the trap of repetitive gameplay. Players find themselves engaging in the same actions and encountering similar enemies repeatedly throughout the game. The lack of variety in gameplay can quickly lead to player boredom and frustration. The potential for variety and creative encounters within the dark fantasy setting is left largely untapped, leaving players feeling like they're stuck in an unending cycle of monotonous violence. This is also why I choose to play this game in short bursts, which really helped. Technical problems are another issue that plagues Succubus. The game is notorious for a variety of bugs and glitches, ranging from frequent crashes to performance problems and even game-breaking bugs that can halt progress entirely. These technical issues mar the overall gaming experience, leading to player frustration and disappointment. It's essential for a game to provide a stable and glitch-free experience to be truly enjoyable, and Succubus often falls short in this regard. I got particularly frustrated with the DLC levels. Those are especially challenging due to the sheer amount of enemies and the length of the levels themselves. The developer clearly wanted to offer something unique, but either had very little time or desire to make sure these levels actually work. Oftentimes I would get stuck without being able to progress since the mobs had clipped through the environment and I could not kill them, which was a requirement for a door to open, or just because I myself would clip through the environment and fall off. On one map, if you decide to load from the last checkpoint after you have died or whatever, you got stuck because you can't finish it, etc., the map simply never loads properly and you can basically fall underneath it because it's empty at one point. As you can see in the footage, I loaded this again just to demonstrate it. And this isn't an exception. I tested it on 3 different days, played differently and loaded, and it's always the same. The map just doesn't load. This was just ignored. Same with the last level of the DLC. It crashes at the end no matter what I do. I've tried several times and gave up on it. One look at the Steam forums shows that I am not the only one with this problem. And don't get me started on the many buggy animations, etc. The stuff that doesn't break the game but clearly shows that there's a lack of polish here. Lastly, I have to address the graphics. Yes, I know MadMind is a small studio, but the game's graphics really do look poor. I can clearly tell that they have improved upon them when you look back at Agony, but it still feels insufficient. Honestly, I know games from 10 years ago which just look far better than this. In summary, Succubus is a game that aimed to push boundaries and create a provocative and memorable gaming experience. However, it ultimately falls short of delivering a compelling and well-rounded game. Its excessive use of explicit content overshadows any potential for storytelling and meaningful gameplay, and it often relies on shock value rather than creating a cohesive and engaging experience. Players looking for a mature-themed and dark fantasy game should be aware that there are limitations in place here, and they should carefully consider whether the shock value is worth to sacrifice everything else that I've mentioned where the game actually does not do well. The gameplay is better than it was in Agony, but that really isn't saying much. Agony just simply didn't have good gameplay. Don't get me wrong, I did have some fun with it in short bursts, but all in all, I would not recommend this game to anyone unless its price drops to under 10 bucks. Then you can go for it. With that having been said, I want to thank you for watching Game Filter. This is Nino signing out. Have a great day.